Everything people think they know about the caveman diet is wrong. The popular image of club-wielding hunters bringing down mammoths for dinner misses the real story of how our ancestors survived for hundreds of thousands of years. The first shock comes from what archaeologists have discovered in ancient campsites. Scattered around fire pits aren't just animal bones, there are countless shells, nutshells, and plant remains. In fact, at many sites, plant materials outnumber animal remains by a significant margin. The stereotype of the meat-obsessed caveman crumbles when faced with the archaeological evidence. But here's where it gets interesting. The diet varied dramatically depending on where and when these early humans lived. A group living near the Mediterranean coast 40,000 years ago had access to completely different foods than a band surviving in the Arctic tundra. Geography was destiny when it came to prehistoric meals. Near coastlines, shellfish became a cornerstone of the diet. Massive shell middens, ancient garbage dumps filled with discarded shells, tell the story of communities that relied heavily on mussels, clams, and oysters. These weren't just occasional treats. Some shell middens stretch for miles and contain millions of shells, representing thousands of years of consistent harvesting. The process of gathering these shellfish reveals something fascinating about early human behavior. It required detailed knowledge of tides, seasons, and marine ecosystems. Groups had to coordinate their movements with lunar cycles, knowing exactly when low tide would expose the richest beds. This level of planning and environmental knowledge suggests a sophistication that goes far beyond the brutish caveman stereotype. Moving inland, the story becomes even more complex. Nuts formed a crucial part of the diet, but not just any nuts. Archaeological sites across Europe and Asia show evidence of intensive acorn processing. The catch? Acorns are loaded with bitter, toxic tannins that make them inedible in their raw state. Early humans developed elaborate techniques to make acorns safe and palatable. They would crack the nuts, grind them into flour, and then leach out the tannins using water, a process that could take days. The investment of time and energy suggests just how important these nuts were to survival. In some regions, acorn processing sites show evidence of use spanning thousands of years, indicating that certain locations became traditional gathering and processing centers. The meat portion of the diet tells an equally surprising story. While large game like mammoths and bison certainly appeared on the menu, they weren't the daily staple. These massive hunts were rare events, often seasonal, and required enormous coordination among multiple groups. The meat from a single mammoth kill would have fed dozens of people for weeks, but such opportunities came infrequently. Instead, smaller game formed the regular protein source. Rabbits, birds, fish, and even insects provided consistent nutrition. Archaeological evidence shows that early humans were skilled at catching small, fast-moving prey using ingenious techniques. They constructed elaborate fish traps, used nets to catch birds, and developed specialized tools for hunting rabbits and other small mammals. The insect component of the diet deserves special attention because it challenges modern sensibilities while highlighting prehistoric nutritional wisdom. Termites, ants, and beetle larvae are packed with protein and healthy fats. Evidence from various sites suggests that insects weren't just survival food, they were actively sought out and formed a regular part of the diet. Seasonal patterns shaped everything about prehistoric eating. Spring brought fresh shoots and early plants. Summer offered the richest variety of fruits and vegetables. Autumn meant nut gathering and preparation for winter. And winter required reliance on stored foods and whatever fresh meat could be obtained. The rhythm of the seasons dictated not just what people ate, but where they lived and how they organized their communities. Root vegetables played a massive role that often gets overlooked. Tubers like wild onions, garlic, and various roots provided carbohydrates and could be stored for extended periods. Some of these roots required cooking to be digestible, which points to the crucial role of fire in expanding the prehistoric diet. The ability to cook opened up entire categories of previously inedible plants. The cooking revolution changed everything. Fire didn't just make food safer, it made more calories available from the same amount of food. Cooked meat is easier to digest. Cooked tubers release more energy. And cooking neutralizes many plant toxins. This technological advancement allowed early humans to extract more nutrition from their environment and spend less time chewing and digesting food. Fermentation represents another sophisticated food technology. Archaeological evidence suggests that early humans discovered fermentation thousands of years ago. Fermented foods stayed edible longer, were easier to digest, and provided different nutritional benefits. The process of fermentation would have been discovered accidentally, but once understood, it became a valuable food preservation technique. The social aspects of eating reveal complex behaviors that shaped human evolution. Sharing food wasn't just about survival, it was about building alliances, establishing social hierarchies, and strengthening group bonds. The act of sharing a mammoth kill or distributing gathered nuts required rules and customs that helped early human societies function. Storage technology became crucial for survival. Early humans developed methods to preserve meat through smoking and drying, store nuts in caches, and keep gathered plant materials fresh. These techniques required planning, cooperation, and the development of storage containers and spaces. The ability to store food allowed groups to survive lean periods and spend time on activities other than constant food gathering. The real caveman diet was diverse, seasonal, and required enormous knowledge and skill. It varied by location, climate, and available resources. Far from being simple hunters who lived on meat alone, early humans were sophisticated food gatherers who exploited every available nutritional resource in their environment. They developed complex technologies for processing, preserving, and sharing food that required intelligence, cooperation, and cultural knowledge passed down through generations. This dietary flexibility and innovation didn't just keep our ancestors alive, it shaped human evolution itself. The varied diet, the need for cooperation in food gathering and sharing, and the development of food technologies all contributed to the development of larger brains, complex social structures, and the cultural innovations that eventually led to civilization itself.